Uh, Everyone else is already familiar with our ICT program? All right, excellent. So let me start with a very quick introduction to what we are going to do today. Before I do that, let me see if I can introduce myself in a better way. My name is Ahmed, and I am currently taking the responsibility of the academic team in the Middle East. So I'm here today to assist my colleagues in Asia with the ICT presentation. I hold a computer science from Canada back in 1995. So you can see not only I'm very old, but also my computer science degree is a little bit expired. But I was very passionate about education, and that's what I did as soon as I graduated. I went into math teaching, computer science teaching, and I topped that later on with an education technology degree, a master's in education technology. So far, I've been in the education field for more than 27 years. 11 of them I have spent in teaching. So I do have a teaching experience for a long time, education management, curriculum design. I had the pleasure actually to design a computer curriculum a very long time ago. And since 2017, I joined McGraw Hill as an academic to our educational product. Now, this is what I'm going to go over today. So what I will be doing is, I'm just having problem with my clicker. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about our ICT program, our ICT program suite, in fact. One element of that suite is called Level Up. So I'm going to take the whole focus on this component. What makes Level Up different? And I will end this with a very brief on the online platform that is hosting the program as well as other programs. So let me be very quick and let me start with introducing the suite. So there are two things we're talking about today: the suite, the whole suite, and the focus will be one element of that suite, which is the school grades 1 to 11. Let me start by introducing the core program, which runs from 1 to 2. This is called the Level Up. So Level Up is a grade, is distributed over the 3 cycles, grades 1 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12, and it is a comprehensive program. I'm going to talk more about it in details. Just want to pick up these necessary descriptive terms. It's a comprehensive program. It is actually following a spiral curriculum, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It covers all foundational skills all the way to advanced concepts, a huge amount of coding and robotics, and this is one of the important features, which is the flexible learning path. We're also going to talk about that. The second component in that ICT suite is called the Skills and Pathways. Skills and Pathways is simply a Microsoft Office dedicated program, just in case there is an idea in the school that I want to focus on Microsoft Office for any reason. Well, for example, one of these reasons can be writing the ICDL, the ECDL. It can be, for example, integrating it with any humanities course. So in case you have this situation, you can rely on this Skills and Pathways that covers, that is actually designed for middle school and high school, and it covers all of the Microsoft Suite operations. So let me show you the list of courses. So just having problems again with my clicker. I don't know why. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access, as well as course on general computing. All of these are available in an online and print. The third item in our ICT suite is called Foundation Series. And this Foundation Series is recommended for high school, so it is at a high school level. And I can simply describe it as pre-university courses, or in some schools, they call it electives. So just in case you are specializing or you want your students to focus on a certain area, a critical area in computer science, such as cybersecurity, Internet of Things, AI, this is the appropriate course offering that you can use. Some of these courses includes general computer science, graphic design, e-commerce, data science, AI1 and AI2, two courses just to give you more ability to control your pacing. Internet of Things, wonderful course on software engineering and cybersecurity engineering and design. All of these are electives, and they don't have to be prerequisites. So you can just use them either as additional courses, or they can, in addition to your core, or it can be a core in itself. The fourth and last component of our suite is the College Board Advanced Placement courses. College Board has two main computer science courses, the CSA and the CSP, and what makes these courses special is that they are fully aligned to the College Board and has a huge it has a huge preparedness resources to the AP test, from AP questions to AP tests and resources. Now, all of this is our ICT, our ICT offering. I just want to mention that these have been endorsed and correlated to a multiple of standards around the world. As you can see, the IEEE is there, IB, Common Core, the Australian curriculum, just in case, because it's used in many countries, and it has the ISTE seal. I'm going to talk about the ISTE at the end. So this is one of the differentiators, actually. This is one of the most important features of this program. Now, my focus today for the rest of the session is on our core 1 to 12 program that runs for all grades, and we also have grade K coming in next year. Now, just because of the fact that our respectful audience today can be existing users and new users, so my approach of doing my session today is to mention 10 features that makes the program different, that we are making difference with teachers. And in this way, I can introduce the whole program, and I can point out what features are important to anyone who is using it. So these are the 10 features that I'm going to go over. Number one is that the program has no software license, the flexible pacing, the lesson planning and the curriculum planning, multimedia support, the differentiator tool, an AI algorithmic tool called LearnSmart. I'm going to mention this today. Talk about how robotics and STEM is integrated in the program. The artificial intelligence coverage in this program, starting from grade 1, how it is covered and how can you identify it. The assessments found, the curriculum and the curriculum design, and I will end by talking about the international standards of technology integration seal and what it means. Each one of those, the average time would take about 2-3 minutes to cover each one of them. So starting with the first item, why it is different having no software licenses needed. It's obvious because there are no additional costs. So you don't have to worry about any additional costs that you have to pay for certain machinery or certain software. The entire software list in the program is completely free, open-ended, guaranteed to be working continuously, and it is among the best option available. Best option available, and at the same time, the most commonly used around the world. So it is something that you won't have to learn again. And it comes also with alternatives. So if I'm using something in the book, I'm always gonna recommend an alternative if you don't like the same platform. Moving on to the next point. This is how you would see in every grade alternatives that are offered. So let me say more on this. So in the book, it may ask you go to scratch.com and do this and that, but if you are not using Scratch, you are using another platform, these are other suggested platforms for you, just in case you don't want the one we are using or you are actually using this one. And you will see this in all of the software used. The second thing I want to talk about, which makes the program different, is its flexible pacing. Now, I was a computer teacher, and I did that for 10 years. And one of the major pain point and frustrating things that used to happen is when you're not able to finish the entire curriculum. And I think every computer teacher around the world has the same problem. Let me give you a simple example. If any emergency happens, weather emergency, security emergency, and then you have to close, let's say, for a day, and that day happens to be your computer science class, then in order to make up, let's say, a math period or a science period or an English period, they will take it from the computers. I don't know if that happens to you, but we're always the guys who will donate our periods are taken for others. If you have long, um, vacations or offs, then you probably may have to reduce the pace. So having 3 pacing will help you control how to deliver the same lesson in less time. So these pacing are available and can be shared with you. The program is distributed over 32 weeks of instruction. The period is about between 35 actually to 45 minutes. And there are 3 different pacing. One for 1 hour per, 1 offering per week. Another one is for 2 offering per week, and one 3 offerings per week. There is another pacing for the robotics and coding, which is separate, so that it gives you more flexibility in controlling the time. And the way that these flexible pacings work is by guiding you what are the essential and what are the non-risk material that you can take off. So if you want to modify your pacing according to circumstances, you always have that pacing working for you. The next is some examples of how these look like. What you are looking at is a screenshot for grade 6 pacing for 2 sessions per week. The same exact grade can be paced, so you have also another pacing for 1 session per week. And at the end of this document, it will tell you exactly what are the skills or what are the activities that you can take out and you can reduce. How about teacher support? How does the curriculum, how does the material support teachers? One of the very interesting features in the teacher guide is that every teacher guide comes in 2 parts. So just open the teacher guide, go to the table of content, and you will always see part 1 and part 2. In every grade, from grade 1 all the way to grade 12, part 1 would be called the program guide, as you can see here. Now I'm far, I can't approach, so let me be close. The program guide, and in the program guide, you have everything that the teacher should be trained on, should be knowledgeable of. And let me say that I was a computer teacher and I entered the domain coming from a computer science program. Naturally, computer science teachers are very technical. So they need a lot to know about how education works, what are the different approaches that can be applied, how to apply them in the correct way. So part one is dedicated to educate the computer teacher about the basics of teaching. So these areas can be assessment and evaluation, teaching concepts, implementing strategies, practices, and teaching computer programming. This doesn't directly relate to a specific lesson or chapter. It is just a kind of professional development in order to let the teacher understand what the lesson plan is talking about. And the next part is the lesson plan itself. Lesson plans are in two levels. So there is the unit level and there is the lesson level. Every unit has many lessons. So every time you are starting a unit, you have some guidance, and these are some of the screenshots that shows you how the unit is introduced, the pacing of each lesson or the suggested pacing, what standards are being covered, just in case that's something you want to trace. If there is any cross-curricular links, what are these and how you can use them, prerequisite skills needed for the students, and what materials are recommended for this unit. Now, how to prepare your computer lab, how to be aware about some safety issues, and what differentiation strategies you may expect. Remember, I'm looking at the unit. I haven't started the lesson yet. Now, moving on to the lesson will start with the objectives, the specific material needed, software and hardware. For this lesson, any misconceptions expected, moving on. If there are any hands-on, if there's any hands-on practice, extra practice that can be recommended, self-assessments prompts that you can guide your students to talk about, and of course, the key terminology at the end. Now, speaking on the lesson plan, let's see how lessons look like. What is the strategy or what is the philosophy of designing the content? So I will be taking 3 grades, one from the lower grade, one from the upper lower grade, and one from the high school. This is grade 1 unit opener, not the lesson, the unit. So every unit starts with the objectives of the unit. It always tells you what tool or what software is needed. And there is a section at the beginning of the unit when needed. So you probably may see it, you probably may not, depending on the prerequisites. Now, in math and science and English, we usually do a pre-test. Why is that true? Because if you have a student in grade 1 in Vietnam, you more or less, the math they are learning, the English they are learning, the science they are learning is probably the same in anywhere else in the world. So you don't have, you know exactly what the prerequisites are. In computing, this is a challenging issue because kids vary on the knowledge that they know. Not only they know, not now that they know less, our programs that they know more than they are expecting to know. So this, do you remember, makes sure that the prerequisites needed for the units are covered. This may take between 10 to 15, 20 minutes just to make sure that These prerequisites are necessary before we enter. We don't even know if that student have even taken these before. So the one on the left is from grade 2. The one on the right is from grade 7 or 8. So you always have, do you remember, to make sure. A grade 1 lesson will always start with what we call discourse ignition. Let them look, let them talk about it, and let's see where we can go from here. So it's very engaging with very little text. And then the engagement with the concept starts by answering, by doing simple activities. What's nice about these activities is that they vary in their nature. So they can look and talk, they can connect, they can select, do hands-on. There is also matching, finding the path, coloring, and always, this section, which is about safety, responsibility, ethical use, responsible use, is always there. Every unit ends with a project, and every unit has a reflect. So are moving from knowledge to understanding to reflection with the necessary vocabulary that are needed in this grade. The same thing I'm going to do for grade 3. This time I'm picking up a programming or a coding unit. So again, the tool is a Scratch, and you can see the multiple types of teaching approaches, from real-life connections to analogies, tips. You can see critical thinking by comparing and contrasting. And every single instruction is very well laid out in graphical instruction. All of these instructions are also available in videos. The hands-on activities are again there for formative checkups, and the project is there. The reflect, and this is the case where I need another alternative. So if you see my platform that I was working with, but it happens that you are using something else, or you want to try another, you will always see this alternative platforms that can do exactly the same thing that you have done with the platform we are using. Grade 10, the same story again, the hands-on, the project, and the reflect, and the other alternatives. So this will give you the wide spectrum of what alternatives you can use instead of ours. Video supported instruction is another feature in our program that makes it different. And what do I mean by this is every single instruction that you see in multiple screenshots, you can actually simply turn on to the online platform, go to that specific lesson, and you can watch it. Data validation. These are just examples. And I think you know what's the efficiency of videos. We all learn through videos, actually. We prefer videos, probably it's faster, it's more visual. You can replay whenever you want. You can slow the, you can have captions, so you can
Choose the Settings tab.
read. You can also slower the
In the Allow box,
user.
choose Custom.
Okay? Another type of videos
In the
also
Formula
available.
box, type equals and C3 greater than 0, C3 smaller than 40.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, another type of videos. These not necessarily are instructional videos, but let's say we're talking about 3D printing and the kids haven't seen a 3D printer before. So this is another type of videos that talks about special machinery or special software. So I'm talking about microcontrollers, but they haven't seen that. So you will see this illustrated in another set of videos. Next, one of them, probably the important feature in all of McGraw Hill programs, this adaptive learning, AI, or algorithmic tool called LearnSmart. First, LearnSmart is only available for grades 6 to 12, and there is a reason for this. Let me introduce to this tool and see why it is important. First of all, this is an adaptive learning for self-study. We'll see how it works in a minute. The aim, the reason why we use it, why we have it, is simply to give students an opportunity not to know, not to learn, but to master the concept. And when we're talking about mastery of the concept, I mean moving from remembering to understanding to reflecting. So it's Bloom's taxonomy 3 or 4. This tool is already integrated. So you don't have to like, give us the tool with LearnSmart. It's already there. And if you want to use it, you can use it for one or more of the following reasons. The best reason that it can be used for is to differentiate. Differentiation has always been a challenge to every teacher. How do I find what exactly they want? How do I create the appropriate scaffolds or the appropriate enrichment for them? So AI or algorithms are going to do this. Its original purpose was to self-study. So obviously, if I'm mastering, it means that it's giving me the time to study well. If you want them to prepare for a test, that's the best way to prepare for a test. And just like all AI platforms, AI is the best way to flip your classroom. What happens in a flipped classroom? It's just the other way around. Instead of me explaining and they study and come back, they actually do it in the other way, flip. So they start by themselves, and they come to class to adjust and do activities. Now, this is nicely said, but let's see how can that be done. In order for me to show you, let me show you some screenshots of how it works. This is the teacher. You can see on the top, it's teacher assigning content. Why is the teacher assigning content? The teacher is assigning content for one or more of the reasons that I have just mentioned: differentiation, study, preparing for a test, and so on. Step number one, the teacher can start by selecting the entire unit, the entire concepts in the unit. But obviously, I may not need to do this if I'm just testing them for some other reason. If you don't want the whole unit's concepts, you can choose the lesson concepts. If you don't want the lesson concepts, you can pick up the concepts that you want. So you can go into every lesson, I say, this concept, this learning objective, this learning objective. So you select them, and as you select the content that you want your students to work on, this is, by the way, in our science program, in our math program, it will estimate the time needed to study, and you can then prepare and assign to your students. Now, this is the student. The student is opening this assignment on their own account, and it is telling them that you have 8 concepts, let's say, assigned by your teacher, because the teacher wants you to study for the exam, and the estimated time for you to finish can be about 15 minutes, 14 minutes. Now, you have 2 options to work on this, but please remember this. I'm going to say that maybe 10 times today. This is not an assessment. You are not giving them an exam, even though you assign content, but the purpose is for them to get the 100%, to go over all these 8 concepts and master them. For the students, it is a learning tool. For you, it might be an assessment tool. When the students start, they have two options to work on this to start studying. One option is they can be given mini lessons, instructions on each concept, and then they are asked questions to see how much they learn. Did I do something wrong? Okay, here. The other way is exactly the opposite. They can start with questions, and whenever they need help, it will generate mini lessons to them. What do you think, what is the preference of the students, you think? Starting studying or starting with questions? What's your, yeah, don't be shy. Yeah, you're right. So what do you think? With studying, reading, that's a good option. But this option, what does it say? I ask you, if you're okay, I continue. If not, I can give you help. So 90% of them like to be asked questions so that they don't have to read something they shouldn't have read. Exactly, which is fine. Now, what I wanted to say next is these questions are generated by the algorithm, and these questions are reflecting on the concept on the top. You see, there are 0 concepts learned. All right? Now, when they answer, they have to specify how confident you are. It's not saying so. It's saying that I want to know if you need help or not. So just let me know when you answered, rate your confidence, high, low, or medium. Now, if my confidence is not 100%, I can ask for help. They are not cheating here. This is not an exam. This is a study tool. This help can be a video, it can be something to read from the book, it can be a guided instruction, it can be any mini lesson that help them have more confidence in answering. That I question for you. If I answered correctly and I click high, what happens to the 0 up there? It should become 1, but it will not. Why? Because when I say next, the next question is going to be on the same concept, but on a higher level. So it will only become 1 when the student confirms that they have reached a certain level of proficiency, mastery. You remember, I didn't say they should learn, they should master. Mastery means Bloom 1, Bloom 2, Bloom 3, and Bloom 4. Once they reach DOK 3 or Bloom's 4, then it moves from 0 to 1. So what will happen when I answer correctly with any level here? This will be shaded. You see the column on the top? These bars? It will be shaded. It might be shaded a lot because it's high, or a little bit. So once it is shaded completely, it moves on to the next concept. Now you can imagine what will happen next. The question that is going to be generated, yes, please. Yes. Generated. Which means there is no student that is going to have the same, and the next question to come is different. Why? Because it depends on your level of confidence and the correctness that you have shown. So what is it doing? It is differentiating. So if you want them to study, it's a good tool. If you want them to if you want to differentiate, that is your tool. If you want to ask them to start working on something and then you talk about it later on, this is a very good tool. Mhm. I've been waiting all my life for someone to ask this question. It's very good. I got your idea. So everyone got the idea. So how many times? Now let's suppose I answered correct and I said, you know what? I think I'm right, but my confidence is low. So this is going to be shaded like 10%. But if your colleague, if my classmate, answered the same question with high, the shading would be like 30%. And that's how it is related to time. So the time and the number of times that the questions are going to be generated depends on how confident you show. I might be lucky, right? I might hit correct, I might hit high, but it was a lucky guess. To avoid lucky guesses, the next question is build on these two parameters, on these two variables. So this is related to the confidence level. And that takes me back to tell you that this is a tool for the students to learn. So there is no need for anyone to worry about getting things wrong because they will be getting what they need to learn so that when they come back, they answer correctly. All right. But for you, as a teacher, you know what you're doing. There are 4 reports that will be generated for you. Can you give me one indicator that tells you which student is better than the other student? Can you think of an indicator that tells you, like when you look at it, you see, okay, everyone finished, but there is something that tells you that someone is better than the other. What's that? Exactly. So one of the reports that you will get is how much time they spend. I spent half an hour, you spent 15 minutes. So it means that your confidence level was higher. Your knowledge, your back prerequisite is higher. How can that be? That can be helpful. That can be helpful when I look at these reports for me to build my own intervention, to build my own, so I don't have to guess. Not only this, there is another report that tells you which learning objectives, which concepts were the most challenging concepts. So you don't waste time on teaching everything. You just take that most challenging concept and concentrate on it. There's a third report that tells you who was doing good. Can anyone think about another indicator? We'll give you the number of questions. And there is another one, very obvious. Exactly. With 3 questions. Absolutely. Exactly. You have answered 80% of the exact question. There is another indicator. Say that again. Mm. Okay. That's actually a wonderful, but it's not the answer. It's just right there. I'm gonna give you time. Look at it very carefully. What is something? Look at this. Confidence. Why is this there? You should wonder, like, why do we have it there? Why it's not only submit the answer? We could have replaced it with submit the answer, but all of these will submit the answer. But this is for me as a teacher to look at the report and say, this student spent time, but he was struggling a lot. There's a lot of low. This is called the metacognitive analysis. So this is a fourth report that you will take a look at. What have you done so far? Think about your job in all this. You remember what you've done? You just selected the content, you sent it, you just came back 3 days later to look at these reports. These are good for parent meetings because you can print them, you can show them the time, how much time, you can show them how they were learning, how their confidence is. So these are one of this is an assessment to you, but it is a study tool for the teacher. This is one of the differentiators there, and I hope we will have the time to walk you on the online platform. The next item on my list is how is robotics, coding, and STEM covered in our program? Now, this is very interesting, and why did I put that on? I'm not saying it is covered, I'm saying how it is covered. Now, these are some of the facts about teaching robotics, especially when it comes to STEM learning. That's what's happening generally around schools. First of all, you know that if you are teaching robotics, you have so many kits in the market that you can use. It is one theory, but the application can differ from the tools that you use. So this is one of the challenges when putting this into a curriculum. Some schools, they don't even use a kit. They just talk about it. So they just show videos because simply they don't have money to do that. They don't have the capability to teach it. This is one. The other one is the purpose. Why should we teach robotics? Some schools teach it just because it is a computer science discipline. It has to be there. Some schools actually go beyond that. So they have clubs, they have competitions, they have activities, extracurricular, so they go beyond the regular teaching, and they have like hours of teaching per week. That's another challenge. The third challenge is how much time do you give it? So I may design a lesson, but for some reason, you can cover it while other teachers or other schools may not be able to teach it all. Now, if I do these lessons and put them into the core program, and you buy it, you buy the book, and then when you reach, let's say, Unit 5 about robotics, you will find that the kit is different than the kit that you're using. So it's like 10% useful to you. So what did we do in order to solve this problem? In order to solve this problem, we have designed the robotics units into a different library of ebooks. So you have the core ebook, and if you are in grade 1, you will have an extra additional 5 ebooks on the side. These are determined from what is very popular in the market, what is like 90% of the market using for grade 1. So if it happens that it is one of the kits that you are using, then you can just use this kit into your class. So it doesn't have to be into your book, so that you have a portion that you're not using. Not only this, but you're missing what you need. So in simple words, ebooks for every grade are populated on the platform, and they are in the form of ebooks. And if it happens that your kit is in there, you will immediately find all what you need. And I'm going to talk about the ebooks for robotics in a minute. The same thing is happening. This is for grades 1 to 5, But the same thing is happening in grades 6 to 8. This is another set, and it is growing. And it is growing. So every year we have more and more coming in. And this for high school, right now, Microbit and Arduino are the two platforms we are using, or kits we are using. Let me talk a little bit about these ebooks. What is unique about these ebooks? They are not just instructional manual that do this and do that. They are fully pedagogy built ebooks. This is something from elementary. They are designed age appropriate, simple language, heavy in graphic illustrations and instructions. They have activities, they have objectives, they have lesson plans. So it is just an adjacent curriculum. So you will find it for every book. And it has projects and assessments. So these are some different ebooks taken from different grades. This is from upper grades, from high school. And this is the whole, currently, that's how the distribution is. We can share that with you with the follow-up email that is going to be sent. Next, I'm going to talk about AI, and obviously, everyone is talking, everyone is thinking, everyone is reading about AI. AI is covered in all of the grade 1 to 12 program, and show you in an easy way how is that done. What you're looking at now is one of our scope and sequences. So there are multiple scope and sequences. This is a high-level scope and sequence, and that's how it is designed. Grade 1, as you can see, to grade 5. In grade 1, there are 6 units. The color coding, the difference in colors, I will talk about in a minute, but let me track AI to you. I'm going to click, and it will show me in grade 1, it is covered. Where? We're going to see in a minute. In grade 2, in grade 3, in grade 4, in grade 5, and then I move on to the 6 to 8. And again, you can see it in 6 and 7, and now you can see more occurrences. Unit 1, Unit 3, and Unit 6. And in 9 to 12. So there is no interruption. It is almost covered in every single grade for a different purpose. And remember, AI can be generative AI, reactive AI, and a predictable AI. Usually in these, that is a reactive AI. We don't want them to generate now. I'm not using my computer, but it was lovely if you can see this, this document. I'm using actually the presentation computer, but what I have here is a full correlation of the AI topics, the objectives, the skills, and the unit. So you can easily see it in every grade, but we are going to share that with everyone if you would like to see it. Next, assessments. So all assessment types are covered. So in the program, for assessments in the form of level checks, lesson checks, mini projects, self-evaluations, and summative assessments as well. You will have them in both online. Online, they are auto-corrected, auto-reported, so you don't have to spend time. And you can also print them in PDF. The online platform also have a test generator. So all of these questions are available in a bank where you can create your own assessment, assign them online, or print them. Both are available in print and in Word, PDF, and online. And if there is any concern for standards, they are all connected and will report standards. Let's take a look at the curriculum, the whole curriculum, what is covered, how it is designed, and what is available for you. So the program is carefully designed from both the international standards of technology of education and the Computer Science Teachers Association. We can talk about this later on, but just want to mention. The program covers 5 global domains. As you can see, each one of them has a color code, and that will make it easy for you later on. When you see the color, you know exactly what domain you are working with. Basics, productivity, applications, databases, coding, and networking. Let's take a look at how it is designed over the grades. It follows the spiral program, spiral. It starts by introducing the competency, and it continues the competency, but widening it, talking more about it until it grows or until it ends. What they do throughout all of these years is they start from the foundation level, move on in the middle school for the creation, to start creating through applications, and in grades 9 to 12, career readiness and production. So they start the programming and the producing. Again, this is the same table, but this time I'm talking about it in a different way. Grades 1 to 5. Let's see why it is a spiral. So I have one color that is moving from one grade to another. It's not interrupted. So the same set of skills, the same domain is getting escalated in every grade. You can see the areas of different computer science focus. You can see the IT, AI, data science, network, so you can immediately know where that area is covered and in which unit, in which grade. And then the same thing for 6 to 8, the same thing for 9 to 12. And this is the high level scope and sequence, and then it gets to the unit, to the lesson, and you can see the whole thing planned to you and dissected. What about the ISTE, which is my last point before I take few minutes to show you the online platform? Anyone has what ISTE does or what is ISTE? So ISTE stands for, let me go back to this. ISTE is the name of an organization which is the International Society of Technology in Education. Now, many people think that because we are talking about computer and I'm talking about ISTE, this is a computer thing. In fact, this is not a computer science thing. This is an education thing. So this, in fact, this is for English, math, studies, science, not only computing. Why? Because it is how to use technology in education. So what they did is simple thing. In 2002, they started as organizing and disciplining the use of technology with teachers and students and administrators and even institutions. So they did some standards, they did some handbooks of what is the best way based on research to use technology and what we should worry about when we are using technology in education. Again, administrators, teachers, and students. And there's also something for parents as well. This is later became so big and important that it is part of the UN Sustainable Development Handbook. And what ISTE has introduced is a framework a framework, a number of domains where when you are using education, technology in education, what domains you have to be concerned about. Remember, this is not computer science, this is education. For example, incorporating 21st century skills, collaboration, communication, innovation. These are the 21st century skills. Another domain has to do about the use of computers, but for me, the most important one is the digital citizenship. You've heard about the digital citizenship. In simple words, how to use technology, not only computer, technology, software, hardware, apps, social media, everything in a responsible way. And that's actually, I'm not worried about how much computer my son or my daughter learn, because they are doing this all the time. I'm really worried about how and what do they do with that. And it is our responsibility as educators to spend as much time on this as we can. Digital citizenship is simply responsibility, ethically, healthy use, even physical use, healthy use. So they put a set of standards for each of these domains, and then you can look at these standards, and when you want to develop, let's say, a social studies curriculum, forget about computer, you take it to the ISTE, they look at it and they tell you, yes, everything you have in this social studies program, when it comes to the use of technology, you have done the right thing. And they give you the seal. So everyone who sees the seal will make sure that it has everything it should. So now you know what that seal is about. So you go to the ISTE and you tell them, I am innovating, I am collaborating, I'm building computational thinking, and I am sure that it is guiding correctly, responsibly. So they will look at it, and it's really very hard to get that seal from them. They are very picky, and they look for everything. So this program has the ISTE seal. What happens if you take this ISTE seal in 2012? It's not valid now. So ISTE should ask you every 2 years to come back to validate. There's a lot that happens in 2 years. So this program has been validated every 2 years to make sure it follows the ISTE standard. Now, let me just finish my presentation today with a very quick mentioning of the technology part. So we have talked about the curriculum. We have talked about why the curriculum is different. What are the features? Let's talk a little bit about the technology part of it. The OLP, Open Learning Platform, is the McGraw Hill platform. So if you are using our science, it's on the OLP. If you're using math, it's on the OLP. And if you are using our computer program, it is on the OLP. So if you are already a user, you will have it. If you are using something else from us, it's a single sign-on, so you don't have a different user. It is not only an ebook access. It is a full course management system. Access resources, create assignments, create assessments, grade assessments, reporting assessments, rostering students. Everything is in one place. But the most important, probably, or the differentiator here is the smart book that I have already talked about. Again, the smart book is available from grade 6, 12, and probably if you have any, why you don't have it for lower grades? Simply because we need less screen time, and usually kids' problem is not only a mental an intelligence thing, but it can be an emotion. So we need always to work with more hands-on activities. Let me see if there is any question before I take few minutes just to navigate. Any questions, please? All right. So how much time we have? Half an hour. Okay, that's won't take half an hour. Can I? Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in as a teacher. And everything we talked about, we'll try just to show how they look like, where you can find them, and all right. So I will be hiding behind this wall here. All right. Is this also visible? Sure. All right. Yeah. Can I just take? Can you give me the seat? Just I'm sorry. All right. So let me. What you are looking at here is my entire list of courses. In your case, you probably will not have that because you will see only your class, that the grade that you are teaching. So let me start, let's say, with the grade 7. Why not 3? Why not 2? Why not 11? Oh, okay. Why I didn't choose grade 1 or 2? It's simply because all of them are the same. So whatever you see here, in terms of the layout, the tools, the only thing that's different is the content itself. So I can randomly pick up anything. What you are looking at now is your teacher dashboard. And on that dashboard, on the right, I mentioned it's a course management system. So the resources under course, the assignment, to track assignments, to see what my students have submit, assessments, to create assessments, access questions, see reports, see my student list in the roster. Let me start with the content. Do you see what's happening here? You have the core, grade 7, while anything that has to do with robotics is on the right side. So what is this telling you here? If you are teaching robotics, it's not in your core program, because if you are using VEX, some other school is using Lego. So we didn't put it there. It's on the side, and it follows the same instructional design. So let me go back here, and that's what I want to show you. I'm randomly going to take, let's say, a unit. This is unit 3, but what happens in unit 1 and unit 5 and unit 6? The same thing. Unit resources has the ebook, and you remember that smart book. You can just assign it. After you finish all the lessons, you have ready-made assignable assessments. You have 3 versions of this assessment. When you assign it online, they will answer online, they will submit, and they will be auto-graded. Let's take a look at a lesson. I'm going to click on a lesson, and this lesson and all other lessons start with the ebook version, the smart book version, and there is always at least one worksheet. What is the nature of the worksheet? It's Microsoft Word. What can I do with it? I can, in a nanosecond, I can download it, and this is how it looks like. It's not shared. I think we should share the whole. Oh, okay. Okay. And here you go. This is a sample. This is a Microsoft Word document. And let's go back. If you want to assign it as a file, and if you are wondering, like I can see that, do the students see it? No, they don't see it unless you assign it. Okay? Now, look at this section that says videos. Look at this list here. Sometimes I've seen about 15 videos. What are these videos? These videos are the capture of the instruction in the book. This is a sample. So let's open one of them. You can open it in a new tab. You can maximize, fill the screen, and this is a
To
sample.
create a variable, click the variables block category.
You can add captions.
Click Make a Variable.
You can make
Type
it
a
slower.
name for the variable and click OK.
All right. Okay, let's close this. And these videos are assignable. So for any reason, if you think that I want to assign, you can immediately assign these resources. This is how the assign page look like. You can select what students you want to send, and you can decide if it is a graded or ungraded, and assign. Another feature would be your assessment for the lesson. Again, you have 3 assessments, 3 versions, and all of them are online and can be assignable. Now keep this in mind. I'm going to get back to them in a few minutes. Speaking of assignments, when I assign an assignment and I want to see what my students are submitting back, so I'm going to go to the assignment, and here is what I have sent before. I have sent it to 11 students. It's due already. I can extend it. I can copy it to another colleague, and I can see the scores of my students. I can also create an assignment, an assessment, regular assignment, and you can see this smart book again. Here is where I can choose my concepts. Assessments. Each unit has its own bank of questions. So let me collapse just to show you. Here is a question. I can edit it, I can remove it, but let me do one last thing for today. I'm going to use the assessment generator. So I'm going to call it my assessment or my worksheet and create. So I just created a blank space, and I can add questions to this, either from McGraw Hill questions, or I can create them on my own. Let's go to the existing questions. And I want to go to the question bank. I can select it from any unit, and I can filter by type. So if I need, for example, only multiple choice, I can choose only multiple choice, apply, and I want to start selecting now. So this is my preferred way of doing it. I will go to preview, and I read it. I like it, so I add it. It takes me to the next one. I don't like it, so I skip it. And I like this one. And I like this one. So now I have selected a couple. I can now change my source from unit 1 or unit I'm using to another unit and start selecting again. This is another way of doing it. I can select from here and add. All right, now, why can this be useful? So after I have selected everything, I think that the language can be a little bit difficult. I want to make it easy, so I can always edit the question. I can do anything I want. And I save. Now I'm ready. How can this be helpful to me? I'm going to go back. Where do you think I can find it? If anyone can help me. It's saved automatically. Which folder do you think it should go? Absolutely. So it's my assessments. And here it is. And look what I'm going to do with this. 3 dots. Of course, we will provide detailed training. I'm just showing you the capabilities now. I can copy it to another section. I can send it to another teacher. I can assign it online. But with this print, it doesn't send it to the printer. It generates a PDF. So you will have a downloadable worksheet. If you would like to have multiple versions of this worksheet, randomize, and you can have up to 5 versions with the answer key. So it will download in a zip file, 5 different versions, different order. All you have to do is just print them and have them. Any questions, please? Anything doesn't make sense, or you would? Say, I'm sorry, didn't hear that. Amazing question. So these are actually the questions from the assessments themselves. Now, our next feature that is coming not only to computer, but to math and science. And I don't know if DJ talked about that earlier, but we are working on a test generator that you can select the standard, you can select the concept, and it will generate. But the answer is no, it's not generated, it is existing. But we have that coming in, and it should. Thank you for this. Did anything was anything expected that it wasn't covered well, or you would like me to elaborate more on anything? Everything's fine?